Yes, I am living in the promises of God.
Yeah.
It's something that I did not ask for. You see,
Mhm.
even just a few days ago, Raven, I was just weeping because I was just humbled at
Yeah.
what God is doing through Called Women.
Mhm.
And but then there was this humility where I was like, "God," literally, I was like, "God, I didn't ask for this." Like,
Yeah.
because at the end of it, Raven, and I know that you can relate to this, in your core, you really wanna be with Jesus. You wanna
Mhm.
please Jesus in
Mhm.
all that you do. And
Yes.
for me, literally, I began to think, God, I was just a girl that said, "God, have your way in my life." I was just a girl that said, "Jesus, I love you." I fell in love with a man.
Hey, hey, and welcome back to the Raven Nole Show. I'm your host, Raven C. Nole, and today's conversation is one I believe is going to minister to your heart deeply. We're diving into something many of us don't always know how to name, but we definitely have felt it a time or two. Those seasons where God gives you what you didn't even pray for, right? The ones you would have chosen for somebody else and not for yourself, the ones that can be hard, the ones that can be challenging, uncomfortable, painful, but on the other side of it, you realize just how necessary they were. Maybe it was a detour, a surprise that happened in your life, a pause, a hard relationship that had to shift. Maybe it was a dream that didn't pan out or an assignment that you initially did not want to take on. Yet God used it anyway. He shaped you through it. He refined your faith in it. And in hindsight, you can say, I didn't ask for this, but God knew I needed it. That's the space that we're going to be sitting in today. And I have an incredible guest, my friend and sister, Natasha Miller. Hi, Natasha.
Hey, Raven.
I'm so excited to have you on the show today. Me and Natasha have
Honor.
known each other for years upon years, and I truly believe that a part of your journey and testimony is that the Lord has offered you so much. And it's like, I
Mhm.
didn't prepare nor ask for it, but this is the portion that the Lord has given me. Can you just introduce
Yes.
yourself to our audience today?
First off, Raven, thank you so much for allowing me to be on your amazing show. It's such an honor to be here with you today. And I am so excited about what we're going to talk about. So, again, my name is Natasha Miller, and I am a wife, and I'm also a mother to four children. I'm also the founder of Called Women, and I am a woman who truly has found that when you actually surrender your life to God each and every day, that He can do things that you can never dream or imagine. So I'm just really looking forward to being able to encourage your audience today with the faithfulness of God.
I love
Mhm.
that. I love that. And we're just as honored to have you with us on
Mhm.
today. So I
Mhm.
really want to be able to just kind of dive into because I know a lot of different aspects of your story,
Yeah.
but I know that there's some really great things that we can
Mhm.
share. And so,
Mhm.
what do you feel top of
Mhm.
mind is
Mhm.
something that you're like, okay, this is the portion that the Lord has given me, but I
Yeah.
actually didn't pray for this. I didn't see it coming. I didn't expect
Mm.
it, but now I can clearly see how God has used it to shape me.
Yes. It's such a good question. And what comes to top of mind, personally, is that I did not ask for influence.
Mhm,
I
mhm,
didn't ask for the type of influence that would cause you to have to surrender, not just seasonally or when it's comfortable, but to where I have to daily, quarterly, right, weekly have to surrender unto God my plans so
yeah,
that I could make the right decisions that are filled with wisdom. Because I know that the decisions that I make are not just impacting me personally, but
mhm,
it's also impacting my children and it's impacting thousands of women.
mhm,
And I knew, when I was a young girl, I fell in love with God at a very tender age. And I just always kind of had this sensitivity to Him. And I just remember, praying to God and just being so near to Him. And He was my world and He is my world, still to this day. But I remember as a young girl, I was in a service and I had, this man of God come up to me and he prophesied into my adulthood. And he shared with me that, Natasha, I see you, being a woman that has a lot of ownership and stewardship in your hands, that the Lord's going to give you a lot, that it's going to be overflowing and you're going to be giving back to organizations, you're going to be giving back to communities. And during that time, I did not know what that meant. I was a
Mhm.
single woman that was, loving God, serving in ministry, had the desire to be used in ministry, also had the desire to, marry a purpose partner. But lo and behold, I didn't know in which way or what route or what avenue the Lord would bring that type of stewardship and influence into my life.
Yeah, I love that because sometimes some people do pray for influence, right? Some people are
Yeah.
like, "I want influence, Lord, give me the platforms and all those different things." But then
Yeah.
you have others who they kinda bump into it, you know? And so
Mhm.
for you, how did you realize that you actually had influence? Was there a
Mm.
moment in your life
Yeah.
where you're like, "You know what? I need to kinda steward this a little bit better because, oh my
Yes.
goodness."
That's a really good question because I immediately began to think about when I was working for the sheriff's department. So I used to work for the sheriff's department
Oh,
in
I didn't know
California.
that.
Yes, yes. I was working in their HR, so I was around deputies and just around that whole scene. And I remember even just working in admin there and having conversations with women who were in law enforcement. I would have women who would come to me and they would start telling me about their marriage. I had, sergeants who just there was just this favor, that was
Uh-huh.
upon me to where I would be in spaces and I would get promoted or I would get access and I was also privy to information that others were not, right? I was
Mhm.
offered positions under the table, right? To where they hadn't even posted it online and they were offering it to me because they felt that I, really had the goods to be there. So I remember even during that time, I was still, encouraging people and, praying for them. And I
Mhm.
remember I realized that there were women who were double my age who were coming to me and seeking just information. How are you the way that you are? How is your heart so sensitive to X, Y, and Z? So I remember, you know what? Lord, I want to start encouraging these women. So literally, I took down their email addresses. This is before, blogging, all that kind of stuff. I just, made up in my mind, during my quiet time the Lord would always kind of give me something encouraging to share. So I decided every morning I'm going to send out this email to these women who are at my job, these women who even follow me on Facebook. I'm just going to send them a morning encouragement. And I remember whenever I would send it, I would get messages back and they were like, Natasha, oh my gosh, this encouraged me. This blessed me. So I would say probably in my young adult between like 20 and 20,
Mhm.
two, I realized, wow, Lord, you're giving me influence, not just with women who are in my generation, but even women who have come before me. So I
Mhm.
began to see that there was just something unique and different that the Lord was giving me access to during that time.
Yeah, it's almost like he started to prepare you for what was to come, some of those
Yeah.
prophetic words that you received and different things of that nature, those are like the small steps of God
Yes.
preparing you for greater influence because,
Mhm.
you do have a bigger platform with Called Women and different
Yeah.
things of that nature. So
Mhm.
how did that season of
Mm.
stewarding a smaller group of women, right,
Yeah.
simply wanting to encourage them, how
Mhm.
was that your stepping block to what you're
Mhm.
doing now
Yeah.
with, certifying life coaches and different
Mhm.
things of that nature, and then, blogging, being online, having a
Yes.
podcast, how did that
Mhm.
prepare you? Because
Mhm.
you didn't say, "God, from here, take me there," right?
No. Oh, girl. No, that was not the plan because, I'm 39 years old, so I'm considered a millennial, right?
Mhm,
So we were, both born in the time and age to where the internet was invented, and
mhm,
everybody, Facebook started, Instagram, all those different things. So I remember after I did the weekly emails, I went into blogging and then I started a ministry called Romance Me Ministries. And then from there is when I actually met my husband. He
mhm,
read, my blogs and, before he reached out to me, he said, "Hey, I've been reading, your blogs on Romance Me Ministries. I've been seeing your posts on Facebook. I would love to get to know you." So right then and there, I was doing my thing, right? I was, girl, I was. I had single events that I was, praying for women and, encouraging them and just mentoring.
Yeah.
And I remember that I had a prayer, of course, that God, I desired to have a purpose partner. But in my mind, I was like, hey, I want to be able to just, be by the beach. I want my
Mm.
husband to have a guitar. I want to just be low key loving Jesus, barefoot, just
Yes.
hanging in the field of flowers, loving you.
Mhm.
But I remember how the Lord even allowed me to meet my husband. It was in this unique and out of the box way. And I met my husband on Facebook.
Mhm.
And, the other kicker is that he did not live in the same state as me. So he was in Chicago, I was in California.
Mhm.
And I remember just even looking back after 12 and a half years that it was so supernatural because now knowing the sense that I have right now, right, with my history and life experiences that I don't know if I would have said yes, during that season because it was so supernatural. So I would say after doing those things personally, doing my own ministry thing, meeting my husband in an uncanny way, and then getting married and having children and the Lord giving us this shared influence, right?
Mhm.
And there was beauty in the shared influence, but to be honest with you, Raven, there were moments to where I felt deprived personally because I'm like, God, you showed me all of what you had for me when I was unmarried. And
Mm.
now that I'm married and I'm married to an also visionary man of God as well, I had to learn how to share the influence, but also be able to stand confidently in my own voice. So I
Mhm.
believe that even in marriage and even just where I'm at right now, that those seeds that I sowed during that single season gave me a lot of confidence and even
Yeah.
some little clues
Mhm.
to be able to see the new thing that
Yeah.
God was doing and the continuation of what he had started
Mhm.
before I was married. So, now, after getting married, and I did some little mentorship programs here and there within our communities, but just in the last 3 years with the birth of
Mhm.
Called Women, I believe, is that prophetic word in full form.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
But it didn't come immediately. And I know we're going to go more into it of just the feelings of that, the emotions of that. But yes, I am living in the promises of God.
Yeah.
It's something that I did not ask for. You see,
Mhm.
even just a few days ago, Raven, I was just weeping because I was just humbled at
Yeah.
what God is doing through Called Women.
Mhm.
And but then there was this humility where I was like, "God," literally, I was like, "God, I didn't ask for this." Like,
Yeah.
because at the end of it, Raven, and I know that you can relate to this, in your core, you really wanna be with Jesus. You wanna
Mhm.
please Jesus in
Mhm.
all that you do. And
Yes.
for me, literally, I began to think, God, I was just a girl that said, "God, have your way in my life." I was just a girl that said, "Jesus, I love you." I fell in love with a man.
Yeah.
I fell in love with Jesus,
Mhm.
and because of that love and because of that surrender, I'm now living in the fulfillment of
Yeah.
that word.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
believe that there's more
Mhm.
responsibility that comes with that fulfillment.
Yeah. I love that because it's such a true testament for some of us, right?
Mhm.
Who we're like, if I had an option, I don't know if I would have chose this route.
Yes.
And it's like, when you do surrender and you do tell the Lord yes, it's such a journey because you're
Yes.
constantly at the same time like, okay, I'm grateful.
Mhm.
It's an honor, but I'm
Yes.
constantly dealing with these internal barriers that I would just really prefer if I can tap
Mhm.
out or opt out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
you, how have you or how do
Yes.
you navigate those moments where you
Mhm.
can be in between? There can be moments where you feel I'm so grateful for the influence the
Mhm.
Lord has allowed me to walk into, even though I didn't ask for it. But then there may
Mhm.
be moments where you're like, I just want to hide from all of this
Yes.
because this is overwhelming and I just want to have a
Mhm.
normal day, right?
Yes.
So how do you navigate those
I
internal
felt
things?
that. Girl, when
Come
you said
on.
normal day, I was like, normal I
Listen.
was no, a normal day, and that's so good because I would say that I'm still learning,
Yeah.
right? But there's one piece of wisdom that I'm walking in right now is realizing how to stay in my grace, like
Mhm.
stay in my lane. All right. Because even with being able to be, the founder of Called Women and my husband being like the CEO of Miller Media Group, and just even within, Called Women, we have Called Coach Institute. We have other products that we're creating just even in the next year. And I'll be honest with you, Raven, there have been moments to where I have felt like I need to be in everything. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, I need to be doing this operation stuff. I need to be speaking into like every single thing that's happening. And that has been something that the Lord has really had to refine in me.
Mm.
And me being able to surrender of like, I did not give this to you to destroy you.
Yeah.
I also have not given you because I have not given you this gift to overwhelm you.
Mhm.
And even to speak back of God is so faithful because I believe, yes, my husband and I, we are one,
Mhm.
right? What he does, how he moves, I'm moving with him and vice versa. And the Lord had to show me that Natasha, even the rivers that he has crossed, even the ground that he has broken, that has also been an extension to you,
Yeah.
right? And vice versa. So for me, I'm grateful, for the sacrifices that have been made in our business, the
Mhm.
sacrifices that I've had to make in my marriage, in my own dreams and desires, because I believe that it paved the way for me to be able to be in the position that I am right now,
Yeah.
to where now I'm like, "Okay, Lord, there is a grace for me to stay in a place of surrender with you." That surrender has not stopped, Raven, because the
Mhm.
thing is as a visionary, and this is just revelation that I'm learning as I'm in this
Yeah.
role of like, no, I need to be seeking heaven
Mm.
about what, God, what are you wanting this specific community of women to hear?
Yeah.
What is it that what is the essence? What is the sound that's
Mhm.
coming out of Called Women? And that is only something that can come from me
Yeah.
right now in this season. So for me, I'm learning, okay, stay in my grace, stay
Yeah.
in my lane, and also honor those who are in the position to help make Called Women be what it is.
Yeah.
Because like you know how it is even with your business and your ministry that you don't do it all alone. We need
Mhm.
people. And I
Mhm.
think that's what the Lord has showed me is that it's more beautiful when you're
Mhm.
able to build with other builders
Yeah.
to help fulfill the call and the mandate that is not just on my life, but it's a mandate of from heaven for the earth at this
Mhm.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. That is
Mhm.
that is so true. And I think that sometimes when God does call us into things, right? Or he opens this door, he starts to give us influence, things starts to grow, we can feel as if, well, if this is what you've given me, then I need to just figure out how I can insert myself here, 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 here. But then that leads to so much overwhelm, for
Yes.
yourself. And then you're like, why am I so, stretched thin? And how do
Mhm,
I, do all those different things? So for you being a woman who's multifaceted, you're a
mhm,
mom, you're a wife, you're a business owner, you're
mhm,
entrepreneur and
mhm,
all the different things, friend, sister,
mhm,
all these different things. How do you make peace with God's
mhm,
timing when you have to be pulled in so many different directions? So,
mhm, mhm.
Called Women is going to continue to grow. Whatever
Yes.
else the Lord births through Natasha, whatever other responsibilities come, how do you make peace with God's timing? Or how
Mhm,
have you over the years
mhm.
as things have grown in your influence, as, business
Yeah,
has grown? How do you make peace with the timing of God?
yeah. That's such a good question, and the word that came to mind was coming to a place of reconciliation of my history with God,
Mhm.
right? I think I'm living in a prophetic fulfillment, but I can only say that because I've taken a moment to be still and to also extend a heart of gratitude for where I am and where I was not in the past,
Mhm.
right? I look back at even just our days back in the Midwest, right? Like,
Mhm.
during that season, I didn't like there were moments where I didn't even know that I would survive. I thought that I would spiritually die. I thought that my future was literally over. Like there were moments where I was like, "Oh my gosh, God, like why do you have me here? What is the lesson that you want to teach me?" But I've made peace with God of knowing that God has good plans for me, Raven, and also that God cares for Natasha. I think when
Yeah.
you're building something that is so big and it impacts so many people, it's so easy and it's tempting to hide behind the name or even unconsciously wear this title of like,
Yeah.
everybody sees me as this, everybody sees me as that, right? And I remember I was in church just a few weeks ago and the Lord had spoken to me. He was like, Natasha, I want to release you from performing.
Mm,
And I was just like, Lord, I'm like, what do you mean? But when he said it, I was like, you know what, God, I feel like when your influence is bubbling
mm.
and you're being recognized, and this isn't to like, I'm not a celebrity or anything, but I think it's just this hyper awareness that people are aware of what you're building.
Right,
It's
right.
easy to kind of put on that front of like, okay, well, I need to be this for this person. I need to be founder Natasha. I need to be business owner Natasha versus it's like, no, I need to be Natasha holistically. And that is me like in and through. Like I love authenticity, but I have found myself with the expansion of the influence and the brand that there have been moments to where I have felt like I need to be these different people in these different sectors,
Mm,
which I believe that you can be fully you,
mhm.
whether you are running your business or you're on a podcast or you're at an event. So I would say making peace with myself has been understanding that God loves me. He
Yeah.
loves Natasha. Even though the world might praise you and acknowledge what you do, he's still concerned about your heart. And making peace with his timing is making peace with who he made you to be.
Mhm.
And trusting, as he continues to lead me that he won't lead me astray.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
love that. Just being able to accept fully, authentically, who you are. Would you say that has been your biggest breakthrough, kinda navigating these spaces and
Oh,
places
man.
that you didn't pray for? Is that the biggest breakthrough you've had?
Yes, authenticity, Raven, because when you're authentic to your core,
Mhm.
you don't have to apologize. When you go to bed at night, you know, "Hey, I showed up fully as me."
Yeah.
Even though that person may have not responded in the way, I showed up fully as me, and that's all that I can give. I'm I was all of me. So that has helped me to be able to let go of those anxious thoughts or to even know how to combat the enemy is like, hey, no, I was fully me in this moment. God has called me to be a voice to other women. He's called me to speak in sometimes in entrepreneurship spaces. He's called
Mhm.
me sometimes to minister. And it's okay. I can fully preach the way that he moves through me. I can coach the way that he speaks through me. So I think there's such a freedom in that, Raven, of knowing that God isn't asking us to become something that he never made us to be. He,
Ooh.
he whatever he's given us to walk out, he
Mhm.
knows that we have the goods and he
Yeah.
knows that we're anointed for it because he crafted us for
Mhm.
it, you know?
Mhm. I
Mhm.
love that. Come on, we are anointed.
Yes, girl, we
Listen,
are.
he's crafted us just for this. I love that, and just the beautiful journey of becoming and just the beautiful journey of yielding and surrender.
Mhm.
And so I know that there's a woman who is listening right now who is
Yeah.
struggling, right? She's like, "You know what? The Lord is putting a lot on my plate. I'm
Mhm.
currently walking through something that, listen, I never asked for, whether it's good or sometimes it can be on the flip side, it's not so
Mhm.
good." What
Mhm.
would you say to that woman directly who is struggling, who is navigating, who is
Mhm.
journeying with the Lord right now for
Mhm.
something she never prayed for or asked for?
Mhm. I would encourage that lady right now to lean into God, not
Mhm.
just leaning into him to, um, like to hide, but to
Yeah.
lean into his wisdom. Also seek his face to see God, what are you wanting me to pick up now?
Mhm.
Help me to see what am I carrying that I'm not supposed to carry because sometimes what we're carrying unknowingly could be the expectations of others or the expectations of society, the expectations of how we have seen maybe similarly to our call how somebody else is walking it out, right? It's knowing that God has given you a unique anointing and power to be able to speak into your atmosphere, to speak into your bloodline what he wants to be birthed through you. And knowing that you don't have to look like anybody else. God does not want you to walk in your call like your neighbor. Your he knows your weaknesses. He knows your strengths. He knows that you're creative. He knows that you're quiet. He knows that you're loud, whatever it is. So really lean into God. Ask him the questions. God, what am I carrying that I don't need to carry?
Mhm,
God, what perspectives am I believing? How help me clean out my eyes to see what you are seeing? Because I think that there's even some women where God has revealed to them that, hey, they're living in an answered prayer,
mhm.
but because they're refusing to see their situation the way that God wants them to see it, or they're not able to fully embrace it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's some things to where it's like, it's time for us to dust off
Mm,
our opinions, dust off. I think a lot of us have put stuff on the shelf because one, we've never seen anybody else do it before, and two, you're afraid of doing something that's never been done before. And it's the same thing, right? So I
yeah.
think too is that the Lord really wants to invite you into this space with him to where you can have the boldness to be able to do the things that he's called you to do because and just even to close, it's like I didn't ask for this, but I needed it.
Yeah.
So, what you're asking for, a lot of stuff you're asking for, God's about to, like, switch it up
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, his plans are better, and he knows what you need more than you know what you need.
Come on, come on. He knows what you need, okay? More than you know
Come
what you
on
need.
now.
I love that, I love that. Natasha, this was so rich today. Thank you
Oh,
so much for just your honesty. I always love your authenticity, and sharing a little bit more than I knew, some of your story with the sheriff's office. I was like,
yeah.
"I didn't know that."
Yes,
Okay.
girl. I was in there, the corrections office, trials, debt payments. It was a cool season. It was a cool season.
Love that, and it prepared you for where you are now.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for joining the show. To the woman who is listening, if you are holding on to something that you never prayed for, whether that's a challenge, a detour, a closed door, or a delay, I wanna remind you that God wastes nothing, and while
Mhm.
you might not see it now, that unplanned path might be the birthplace of your next breakthrough. So keep
Mhm.
showing up. Keep trusting God when He sees everything that you can't. And just know that He's answering those prayers. Whether
Mhm.
you prayed them silently out loud or you didn't pray them at all, God knows what is best for you. And if you enjoyed this conversation and it spoke to you, make sure to share this with a sister or leave a comment in the comment section. Now, before we close out, Natasha, where can they
Mhm.
connect and follow you?
Yes, please connect with me on social media at Natasha and Miller. And also make sure to check us out on YouTube at the Called Women Show. We'd love for you guys to just stay connected. There's some exciting things that are on the horizon, and we'd love for you to be a part.
Yay! Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter in the link, connect with
Yes.
Tasha, and make sure that you leave a comment if you would like to engage a little bit further. But we cannot wait for you to just allow the Lord to do what only He can in your heart. Okay? Until
Yes.
next time, keep thriving and making an impact.